Today we're going to talk about graphic novels. Graphic novels are a kind of book that I think a lot of people really underestimate. I think sometimes people think of graphic novels as something that people read because they're easy. And I don't really think that, I think that's a very big misjudgment of graphic novels. I think that graphic novels are for people who like maybe to see the artwork of a story add to the richness of the book. And those are great stories, and there's a lot of wide variety of graphic novels. There's a lot of really funny ones out there, and there's superhero stories, and there's a little bit of everything. I'm going to show you some today that are a little bit more narrative as far as graphic novels go, and I think that you're really going to want to check them out. New Kid, many people may have already read. This is on the Vermont Middle Grade Book Award list this year. It was also on our summer reading list, I think a couple years ago. And it's by Jerry Craft. It's about a kid who has to start at a new school. And he finds that at the new school, he is one of the only students of color. And there's a lot of kind of explores the territory of microaggressions and bullying and the kinds of things that people do that are really can be hurtful, even when they aren't meaning to always be hurtful, or sometimes when they are meaning to be hurtful, and just how he kind of manages that. That situation. So a fantastic story. I think that there's a lot here that a lot of different people can relate to. White Bird is also on the Vermont Middle Grade Book Award list, and it was also on our summer reading list. And this is by R.J. Palacio, who is the same author that wrote Wonder. And so this actually starts off, the book starts off with, I should show the pictures in these because it's such a big part. It starts off with Julian, who was the bully in Wonder, and he's having a conversation with his grandmother about what her life was like back during World War II. And it turns out his grandmother has a story that she's never really wanted to tell anybody because it's very painful. She was a young Jewish girl during World War II in France, and she had to hide from the Nazi occupation. So when the Nazis came in and took over the town, she had to go into hiding, and this is the story about that. So it's a really, really wonderfully drawn and told story, and I think people really like it. This is one that I absolutely loved, When Stars Are Scattered. This is actually, it's a graphic novel sort of autobiography, and it is co-written by Victoria Jameson, who wrote Roller Girl, and then Omar Mohammed, who was the person who experienced this. So Omar is from Somalia, and he grew up in a refugee camp in Kenya where he had to flee to with his mother and his brother during a terrible conflict there. And this refugee camp was really a very poorly funded refugee camp where they all kind of lived in huts and really didn't have enough to eat. And even though refugee camps are really supposed to be temporary, people are not supposed to live there their whole lives. In this particular camp, which unfortunately is still there, a lot of people did just spend their entire lives. It was very, very difficult to find a way to get out of there. This is the story of himself and his brother and how they tried to get away, to free themselves from the refugee camp through their life. Thornhill is kind of similar to like The Invention of Hugo Cabret and those other books by Brian Selznick, where there are a bunch of pages that are wordless pictures, and then there are some parts of the book that have a story written in them. This particular story is kind of told in two parts. There's a girl who grew up in the 1980s in an orphanage, and then the other part of the book takes place in the modern day with a girl who lives next to the orphanage and is kind of trying to piece together what happened there. So it's kind of like a creepy mystery story, if you like that sort of thing. So check this one out. Beautiful, beautiful artwork in this, although super creepy. Dragon Hoops is one of the, I would say, unfortunately rare graphic novels that are also about sports. This one's also kind of an autobiography. Jean Luen Yang is a very well-known graphic novel artist. He wrote American Born Chinese and a few others. And this is his story of he was never good at sports growing up. And then he became a teacher, and there was a basketball league at his school. So this is kind of the story of the basketball league at his school. And so if you are a sports fan, you might really enjoy this book. Some graphic novels are kind of a graphic retelling of a book that exists as a traditional story. So this is an example of that. A Wrinkle in Time, one of my all-time favorite books. It was probably my favorite book when I was here at Colchester Middle School, like you. And this is the graphic novel version of that book. So A Wrinkle in Time is about a story about a girl whose father has disappeared, and they don't know. He was a scientist, and they don't know. They have no idea what happened to him. And one night, she and her little brother and a friend get a visit from these three very strange ladies who tell her they know where her father is and she needs to come help right away. So the three kids and these strange women go off on an adventure through space and time to try to save her father. And last but not least, one of my very favorite ebooks. If you click on the ebooks on the library website, Sora. Just so you know, the Golden Dome Awards are right here, all of those books. If you scroll down here, you can find comic and graphic books. And there's a bunch of them here, just a ton of books. You can both listen to and read an ebook of a graphic novel. Notice that they have Diary of a Wimpy Kid listed under graphic novels. I don't have them in that section here at the CMS library because I feel like Diary of a Wimpy Kid has a lot of text in it. It's not a traditional graphic novel. There's some debate about that, I think, because some people consider, because there are so many pictures of Wimpy Kid, that it's a graphic novel. And we have other books like that too, but pretty much in our graphic novel section, we only have books that are pretty much the traditional graphic format with the panels and gutters and such. Okay, so I'm going to search for book Nimona so I can show it to you. This is a great graphic novel. This was on the what was then called the DCF list still a couple of years ago. If you like, it has a little bit of everything. If you like adventure and wizards and superheroes and unlikely heroes, if you like a little bit of sarcasm and a little bit of humor and a little bit of sadness and a lot of heart, and books that make fun of the whole sort of hero's journey superhero genre, this book is for you. So Nimona, I highly recommend it. I don't know why right here this is in German, but the book is in English, so I hope you read it and enjoy it. So I encourage everyone to spend a little time in the graphic novel section. There's a huge amount of variety there in terms of topics and in just like the kind of artwork that's in there. There's really something for everybody. So if you've never gone and just pulled books off the shelf in the graphic novel section and flipped through them and just spent some time, there are so many hidden gems in there. I think you'll have a lot of fun with it.